Eagle Pass standoff, what's really behind the border dispute? U.S. Border Patrol has been engaged in a standoff with the Texas Department of Public Safety and National Guard over control of Shelby Park, a small park in the usually quiet town of Eagle Pass. Right-wing media is portraying this as a heroic stand by cops and state forces under the control of Texas Governor Greg Abbott and Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. The Biden administration is claiming to have a more humanitarian border policy, even as they incarcerate and deport record numbers of immigrants. What is really going on? Is this a further continuation of a racist political stunt? Is this a battle between state and federal authority? A fissure in ruling class power? Or something else entirely? And just as importantly, what should working class people do about it? Is Biden's federal border policy pro-immigrant? Let's skip ahead a little bit. The Biden administration has worked to continue Trump's border wall by any means necessary, including waiving dozens of federal laws to keep the wall going. In 2022 and 2023, Southwest border apprehensions skyrocketed to over 2 million per year, more than double any year during the Trump administration. Deportations increased to 142,000 in 2023, nearly double from the year before. Nor do the optics of border enforcement look any better for Biden and the federal government. What are the stakes of the standoff? Despite the spectacle of the Texas National Guard standing off against federal Border Patrol agents, and the real problem of a vigilante militia calling itself God's Army heading to the border, the more immediate stakes for this standoff relate to the center of power in U.S. imperialism. It is indisputable that according to U.S. law, the federal government, not state governments, has the right to enforce immigration policy. The far right is framing this as a states' rights issue. Abbott claims the right to enforce Border Patrol through Operation Lone Star. At the same time, he and other Republicans are claiming that they are only enforcing the law because of the alleged failure of Biden to do so. Despite Texas politicians' grandiose claims, this is not primarily a question of federal versus state power. Many of the same Republican political figures involved in this battle are affiliated with the groups behind Project 2025, which would massively expand federal executive power if Donald Trump is reelected. The mantle of states' rights, as in the Civil War and Civil Rights era, is a cover to push their agenda. The true reason for this standoff is the same divide in the ruling class that has been fermenting for years about how to manage a declining U.S. empire. The faction lined up behind Abbott and Paxton believes that the key to managing the empire is rolling back the clock on formal democratic rights, while scapegoating national minorities to divide workers. The other liberal factions hold many of the same policy views, but believes that the far right's openly racist rhetoric will actually destabilize the empire further. Neither faction truly cares about workers of any nationality or immigration status. After all, is Biden's Border Patrol fighting to open the border? No, they are lobbying to keep the same violent anti-immigrant crackdowns, but with less razor wire. Historically, in moments of ruling class divide between hyper-reactionary state governments and less reactionary federal governments, there is some precedent for the masses of working people to intervene, to take a side. But these moments, such as the Civil Rights era, emerged only after oppressed people rose up in independent mass movements, well-organized, militant, and ready to fight for the goal of liberation. Concessions are won in struggle, not granted by benevolent authorities. Lining up behind either side in this border scuffle will be a slap in the face to millions of immigrants affected by the U.S.'s racist, sexist, anti-worker border enforcement regime. In this struggle, it is necessary to reject both factions and to build an independent, working class, pro-immigrant mass movement. We need to reject the entire premise behind U.S. border security, which is that immigrants and refugees are a threat to prosperity and well-being for non-immigrants. No. The threat to prosperity comes from the capitalists who report record profits even as they lay off more workers. The main threat to life and well-being is from the armed agents of the state, the police, military, and border patrol who and censor to protect the ill-gotten gains of the wealthy elites. Only a united working class, uncompromising in our defense of each other and unrelenting in our fight for collective liberation, can defeat the far right. And censorship reasons, we read this article in its entirety. Please visit liberationnews.org to read this article and more for yourself.